Mehrdad, it's fantastic to have you here today. Hi everyone, Molly here from LearnPedia. Today we have Mehrdad, another one of our trainees. He's shown amazing performance, progress, dedication throughout our traineeship program. And today we are going to have a chat with him, get to know about his upskilling journey, the technical skills he's gained, and how he can be an asset to any company he will be joining. Yep.
Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, I'm really glad that I had this traineeship over the 6 months. I learned a lot, and I'm happy to have a chat with you.
Thanks, Mehrdad. Let's start with the first question. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Mehrdad?
I'm a civil engineer. I've had local experience doing this traineeship with you guys here. I had experiences working in site-based roles and also in office, structural design and site role experiences. And here I'm looking for the right opportunity to start the next chapter of my professional life here in Australia.
Thanks, Mehrdad, for sharing that with us. Before we jump into the technical questions, do you mind if I ask, what's the meaning of your name, Mehrdad? What does Mehrdad mean?
It has several meanings, but the literal meaning of my name is someone who is kind and generous. And it is also a name for ancient, like the Persian Empire before. So I really love my name.
That's great to know because I can tell your name really is you. You are a kind and caring person. So well done on selecting the name for you, for your mom and dad.
Yeah.
All right, Mehrdad, let's start with the technical questions. The first question I've got listed here is that in a subfloor system where the external wall is a brick veneer wall, so the external wall is a brick veneer wall.
Yeah.
Now, in your subfloor structural design, how would you support this type of wall?
In brick veneer wall, the brickwork itself does not carry structural loads from the roof. Structural load from the roof is supported by the stud wall into the subfloor system and then the foundation and eventually the soil. So in my design, I will provide continuous strip footing under the external brick wall with brick piers. The brick piers are there for the bearers to land on. And another important thing to consider is to provide also some vents in the external wall to keep the air circulation going and also to avoid the moisture buildup.
And if we don't, what's going to happen, Mehrdad? What are the consequences of not having enough ventilation in the subfloor system?
It will increase the moisture content of the soil underneath the subfloor system, which especially in the highly reactive soils leads to soil movement and therefore foundation movement and eventually maybe cracks on the walls and things that we don't want to see.
Perfect. Thanks, Mehrdad, for answering the first question. On to the second one. What are the key differences between a Waffle raft footing system and a Stiffened raft footing system in terms of structural configuration or layout?
The main difference of these two are the beams. The beams in the Stiffened raft slabs are excavated into the ground, while the beams in the Waffle raft slabs are created by using polystyrene blocks. And therefore, this whole slab, Waffle raft slab, sits on the ground and it's not really tied into the ground. Because of this Waffle raft slab sits on the ground, it is more vulnerable compared to the Stiffened raft slab to the runoff and the surface water, especially if it's on a slope. This runoff surface water can wash away the soil beneath the Waffle raft slab. Therefore, it will lead to movements and cracks on the wall in the future. So we can avoid this problem by deepening the edge beams in the Waffle raft slab and make it more tied into the ground and avoid this issue.
Yep, fantastic. So we apply the site conditions to your design and then you enhance the footing system. That was a really good example, Mehrdad, as to how to enhance the performance of a Waffle raft system on sloping sites. All right, perfect. Done with the second question. Now we are going to the third one. Can 310 UC, 310 UC, 118 be used as a lintel in a double brick wall with 10 mil cavity and 400 mil wall height above?
Yeah, short answer is no. When we are trying to nominate the sections for the lintels, we have two main limitations that we have to consider. First one is wall height above the opening, and the second one is the wall thickness. Also, in some cases, when we are nominating sections like equal angles or unequal angles, we have to consider mortar thickness, which is irrelevant in this case. Another thing we have to consider is the cavity. Here is relevant. We have two brick walls, 110 millimeters each, and we have the 10 millimeter cavity, which is 230 millimeters wide. And the section that is here is 307 wide and Anyway, it's far more wider than the 230 millimeters that we have. So it will stick out of the wall. In this case, assuming that we have already tried unequal angles, equal angles, PFC and plate and other types of lintels we have. As an alternative, I will go for UB sections because we still have some height above opening left. We can use a deeper UB section as it has narrower flanges, or increasing the PFC and plate size as an alternative.
Well done, Mehrdad. With the third question, moving on to the fourth question. If you noticed inconsistencies, this is my favorite question here.
Yeah.
If you noticed inconsistencies in the architectural drawings and the geotechnical report, for instance, the trees indicated in the borehole log layout of the geotechnical report are not presented in the site plan provided in the architectural drawing. What steps would you take, Mehrdad? So there's an inconsistency between the geotech report and the site plan that you see in the architectural drawings.
Yeah. In case of inconsistency, I see one. I just don't send emails to you here and there, and I want to make sure. So first, I review thoroughly every document that I have on my hand, architectural plan, site plan, like geotech reports, like sections, anything, elevations, to make sure of this inconsistency. The next step would be to put all of this in a report that is clear and easy to read, and decide which one of these professionals are responsible to address this one. In this case, when you mentioned the trees, I can also use other tools, other resources like Google Maps, Google Earth to find these historical images of the site to ensure that there was a tree and there is not a tree right now. And I also put it on the report. Then I will send a formal email to like architect, in this case, like geotech engineer or the land surveyor, with the subject of request for information, RFI, and communicate with all of the stakeholders involved.
Perfect. So what I'm hearing, Mehrdad, is that first thing first, you mentioned that when you come across a case as such, before you reach out to the professionals involved, you do your own investigation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you want to make sure that when you send the email, you've done your part, you looked for the information and it's still not there, or the inconsistency is still there, and then you send the email to the relevant professional and then you ask them for clarification. Fantastic. Thanks, Mehrdad, for answering the last technical question. The final question is not technical. We just want to know about the opportunities that you're looking for. So what kind of opportunities, Mehrdad, are you looking for in the field? And how do you see yourself adding value to the team you join? Well, I can just answer this part. How do I see Mehrdad adding value to the team he will join? Mehrdad is a very positive, hardworking, and determined person. And the rest, I'll pass it on to you, Mehrdad.
Yeah, currently I'm looking for roles in residential sector specifically. As a structural engineer, I'm also interested in site-based roles because my previous experiences are a mix of site-based roles and office roles, design roles. And to answer the second part of your question, how can I add value to any team that I will join? I can say I have here in Australia, I have hands-on experience on residential timber projects, both renovation projects, extension renovation projects, and new build ones. I have a solid understanding of the Australian standards and codes. I am confident using these relevant softwares here in Australia in the field, like Space Gas, Structural Toolkit, and AutoCAD. I always try to be independent in the workplace. I don't want to increase other team members' workload, especially senior engineers. I'm really curious about every aspect of the structures, especially residential sector.
Thanks, Mehrdad, for sharing information about yourself, also running us through some of the technical knowledge that you've recently gained throughout the training program. Once again, I've seen your dedication, I've seen your commitment, and I've seen your growth and progress over the last few months. Now, if you're a hiring manager or a recruiter watching this video, feel free to reach out to Mehrdad. Thanks, Mehrdad.
Thank you.